Good morning, afternoon, and evening, Founders District leaders. Thank you for taking time today for an inspirational message from our Region 2 advisor. Christine Brady began her Toastmasters journey in 2003 and has served in various Founders District leadership roles, including Founders Past District Director, prior to broadening her service as our region advisor. I feel we are extremely fortunate to have such a fabulous mentor, trainer, and supporter. Please welcome Christine Brady, our Region 2 advisor, as she gives us some insight into the Toastmasters promise and leadership. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Madam District Director and friend Jean Cassidy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me here for this special presentation on Toastmasters Promise and Leadership. Just share my screen here. I'm going to be going back and forth between sharing my screen and not sharing my screen so that we can have a nice conversation. But Jean, when I am sharing my screen, if anything pops up in the chat that I need to be aware of, please let me know. Well, I'm honored today to speak to you about two essential pillars that uphold and define who we are as Toastmasters, the Toastmasters promise and the role of district leadership. Both are central to our journey and each play a unique part in our individual growth and in the collective strength of our organization. Today, we're going to explore how the Toastmasters promise shapes not only our personal journey, but also empowers our commitment as leaders within our districts. So together, let's take a closer look at these two forces, our promise and our leadership, and see how they intertwine, creating a foundation for both personal success and organizational excellence. The first thing is if you can read this, number one, that's the first part. If you can read this on the screen, can I ask a volunteer to please read this Toastmasters promise? I can't hear what? I can't hear you. What?
I
I would
think
be
we should hear
delighted
from
to.
Natalie and that beautiful British accent
Oh,
of
there we
hers.
go. I was going to
Okay,
suggest. I was going to
yes.
suggest Elaine.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't,
okay.
I don't, I don't mind. Okay, I'll do it. I'm off mute. Toastmasters promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education programme, to prepare for and fulfilling meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters members offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. There you go.
Fabulous. Thank you, Natalie. I'm going to stop sharing just because I want to see everybody's face for one moment. If you're on camera, that's fine. Hi, Linda. Listen here. How many of you remember that first time that you saw the Toastmasters promise? April remembers. I don't remember. And I know I know I should have seen it on the application. That's where it is, right? It's on the application, and we're hoping that everybody reads what they're signing. But I don't remember seeing the Toastmasters promise. I was probably in Toastmasters for years, maybe, before I realized that we had this Toastmasters promise. So for some of you that are either tuning in today or listening to this recording, this might be your first exposure to the Toastmasters promise. So if it is, just take a moment to think about what that is. So let me share again, because I want us to reflect on one little question. And in the chat, if you would, please respond to this question. Can you share a time when you saw someone in your club truly embody the Toastmasters promise? And how did that inspire or impact you and the club? I just realized that I have an English education degree and that grammar is a little cuckoo in that slide. I apologize for that. So just share in the chat a time when you saw someone in your club truly embody the Toastmasters promise. And how did that inspire or impact you and your club? Hmm. I know that we have some folks writing about a time, but Linda, can you share something about Ken Spears?
Out loud or in chat?
You can share it out loud.
Okay. Just checking.
Yes.
Ken Spears has an amount of energy that defies humankind. And his excitement about Toastmasters meeting is so inspiring. No matter how he feels or where he's been or what he's got to do next, when he's in a Toastmasters meeting, he's all in. And that energy spreads around the table or the screen, depending. And he believes so strongly in what Toastmasters can do because he's experienced it, and he shares that in every moment that he can. And I think that's really inspiring.
I agree that absolutely. And I can say Mary Berg mentioned David Moore. I'm a personal friend of David. It's partly his fault that I ever started in district leadership in the first place. And I think the same thing about David. He has that enthusiasm. He always shows up very well prepared, just like Ken Spears, ready to take on any role anytime, right? If he comes into the meeting and he's called upon to serve in a role, he's ready, including doing impromptu speeches if we just need a speaker. So those are people that embody that Toastmasters promise. And there are people in every club that do that. And like Linda said, we can capture that it can inspire the rest of the club members to get to that level, right? And it is vitally important that we recognize when people are doing those things. So each of us made this promise when we joined this organization, whether we remember it or not, because it's on our application that we signed. Do not shake your head, Mary. This is a set of commitments that goes beyond simply attending your meetings or delivering speeches. It is a pledge to grow and to support others and to become a better version of ourselves. Now, those first 5 bullet points of the Toastmasters promise are related to each of us fulfilling our commitment to the club and filling the meeting agenda. And if all members embrace this promise, meetings will have that full agenda every time, with every member arriving prepared to fulfill their responsibility, not only just prepared, but do it with enthusiasm, right? That's what we are always wanting to tap into, that enthusiasm for the meeting. When all members are ready to participate, the meeting is fun and relaxed, right? That's the key. The meeting is fun and relaxed, and it ends on a high note. And I say relaxed, and I highlight that because how many times are you trying to fill a role right as the meeting is starting, and we're trying to, get the gavel to come down on time. And the problem with trying to fill a role, especially if you have a meeting that's on Zoom, is you're interrupting the chat time, right? Which is building the community. You're interrupting that time. And sometimes you have to tell people, excuse me, Leilani, I need you to stop chatting so much because I have to fill this role. I'm sorry. And it's like, well, Leilani and Mary Berg were having a great conversation and we all were being very entertained, but now we have to fill this role. So, it can just create a little bit of stress at the beginning of the meeting. And that can, you want to start the meeting on that high note, right? So that you end on the high note. Want to make sure that you have that agenda full ahead of time. And the Toastmasters promise, when we're reminded of it, can help all of us and our members make sure that that meeting agenda is full. Now, this promise might seem like a checklist, right? But in reality, it's much deeper than just a checklist. It's a guide to help us become leaders in our own lives, in our clubs, and in our communities. Because when we commit to the promise, we commit to excellence. and accountability, not just to ourselves, but to each other, right? The whole Toastmasters promise is all about how we're committing to each other and to the club. And we are pledging to encourage, to uplift, and to empower. When we fulfill this promise, we create that supportive environment that allows our members to thrive. So think about it. We've all felt that positive impact of the club when every member keeps the promise. We feel encouraged, inspired, and most importantly, safe to grow. That is the magic of Toastmasters, an environment where we are free to stumble, to learn, to develop the courage to face our fears, right? That's what a lot of it is. It's that we have to have the courage to face our fears. And when each of us fulfills our promise, we're not just building better speakers or leaders, we're building better people. And together we create a ripple effect that reaches far beyond our clubs. All right, we have another question that we're going to take a look at. So let me just share my screen. Let me get the question queued up. Okay. So in the chat, think of a moment when you were challenged to keep the Toastmasters promise, perhaps by stepping out of your comfort zone. And how did that experience help you grow? Think of a time when you had to step out of your comfort zone. How did that experience help you grow?
I guess I can share my experience.
Well, did you put it in chat?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. Although I don't know if anyone's typing. I see somebody, Jean Cassidy, the first time she was asked to be VPE. Yep. Club officers often are one of our first experiences in really stepping out of our comfort zone, although a lot of times it's the icebreaker. Elaine Rayburn is asking that when she was first asked to be an officer. Ah, Natalie, again, with being a district leader and being a remote leader in a different time zone. She knew that those time zones would be a challenge, but she made her commitment to the district and the members. And she says sometimes it's fun to be awake at random times in the morning. That's true. That is true. I experienced that as region advisors because, of course, all of us are spread across 14 time zones, and we have to be up late sometimes or get up really early to be on meetings, all of us. Okay, so this is good. Leilani's talking about just joining Toastmasters because she's a nervous person and she wanted to be more confident speaking in a group or at work at meetings. So this is that person who you praise them just because they walked in the door the first time, right? Especially if they went to an in-person meeting because you have to drive the car, you have to park the car, you have to take a deep breath and get out of the car and go inside. And there's been many people I've talked to that said, I drove to the meeting, I circled the parking lot and I left because they couldn't get the courage to go inside. So the comfort zone for somebody like Leilani, if you think about that member, the comfort zone is constantly being challenged because it's coming into the meeting, it's sitting down, it's coming back, it's delivering the icebreaker, it's serving as the timer, right? All of these things can really stretch the comfort zone because she's admitted here in our talk, she's very anxious, right? Thank you for being vulnerable with that, by the way, Leilani. So that is something just to always be mindful of, that the comfort zone is different for different people. And we just want to make sure that we are aware of what that is. You know, getting out of our comfort zone is essential for growth. It's essential for adaptability and for building resilience. And when we challenge ourselves beyond the familiar, we encounter new experiences and perspectives that can deepen our understanding of the world and of ourselves. And here's why it is so important. And I think these will resonate with a lot of you. The first thing is just there's personal growth, right? That true growth happens outside of our comfort zones. And when we face new challenges, it stretches our ability. It expands our skills and helps us build confidence in handling the unfamiliar. Leilani can probably relate to now if she is nervous about going to somewhere new, she can maybe have some confidence that she can do it, right? Because she's done this thing where not only does she go to a new space, but then they asked her to speak in public, and that was frightening, right? But now she has the confidence that she can do that. When we get out of our comfort zone, we are, of course, building our resilience and adaptability because life is unpredictable. No matter how hard you try to plan it out, it is unpredictable. And those who regularly step into new situations develop that resilience and adaptability to handle that unexpected change. So, getting comfortable with discomfort builds a kind of mental flexibility that helps us adapt when things don't go as planned. Of course, this is going to increase your self confidence when you take on challenges and even achieve small victories outside of your comfort zone. That builds self confidence. And over time, we start to see ourselves as capable and competent, ready to tackle whatever comes our way. And of course, we are unlocking new opportunities. When we stay in our comfort zone, that holds us back from potential opportunities that could bring growth, new friendships, career advancement, exciting adventures. So often it's stepping out into the unknown that leads us to some of our most rewarding experiences. And of course, there's overcoming fear. The things that we fear or feel anxious about often lose their power over us when we face them. So by repeatedly stepping out of our comfort zones, we are redefining our limits and we reduce the hold that fear has on us. That is essential, right, for building a fulfilling and resilient life. So that keeps us engaged in learning, which we talked about a little bit before this meeting started, and ultimately helps us to realize just how much we're truly capable of achieving. Now let's shift our focus to district leadership. You know, district leaders have a unique and vital role in Toastmasters. They serve as the bridge between the clubs and the larger mission of the organization as a whole. And if the Toastmasters promise is the foundation of our personal growth, then district leadership is the structure that ensures that growth is nurtured and expanded across our communities. You know, we need your notes to be creating educational moments for the district, right? We need our division directors to be creating educational workshops and moments for all of the clubs in their divisions. We need our area directors to be that touch point to make sure that the clubs are reaching their goals and they understand even what those goals are and what they mean for personal development for each member. Taking on a role as a district leader is a commitment to serve not just a single club, but an entire community of clubs. And it's a chance to lead by example and to create a legacy of support, growth, and empowerment. As district leaders, we are entrusted with the responsibility to guide and support our clubs and members, to foster a sense of unity across our district, to promote club growth and success, and to inspire others by setting high standards for leadership, high standards for accountability, and high standards for teamwork. District leaders embody the Toastmasters promise at a higher level. As district leaders, you are role models who demonstrate the value of preparation, respect, and a growth mindset. And like any journey worth taking, it is not always easy. District leadership demands time, patience, and of course, that resilience that we're trying to build when we're getting outside of our comfort zone. And it's a responsibility that requires us to hold fast to our promise, especially when challenges arise. How many of you in district leadership have thought, I don't need this? I know I thought that. You know, I'm a volunteer. I don't need this. I don't need this challenge. right? And there are times when it makes sense to say, I need to step back just like a minute, right? And then there's other times where you think, well, yeah, it's a challenge, but if I just finish this thing, I'll be through it and the sun will shine again. So we have to think about that because we've made that commitment, right? And so we want to always make sure that when those challenges arise, that we have those moments of success that we can reflect on to remind ourselves, hey, you know what? I know I can get through this and it's going to be worth it in the end. So let's take another look at a slide. And this time I will just ask somebody to share, and I want it to be a short share, okay? Because I still have lots of material to get through. So as a very short table topics, what does being a district leader mean to you personally? And how does this role help you bring the Toastmasters promise to a larger community? I would love to hear from one of our
Elaine.
current, yeah, we could hear from Elaine. Elaine, you just got voluntold. It's time for you to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to that. What does being a district leader mean to me? Personally, it's personal growth. It's learning to work with a larger group and be bringing them together to work. It's sharing what Toastmasters has done for me so that they can see that there is promise in it, there is growth in it, there is something to achieve, even things that I felt were out of my reach. As I say continually, this is not where I saw myself going. Just wanted to be a member, just wanted to learn a little bit. And here I am. And as going through this, I saw April's been a big proponent for me getting to this point. It started in little bits when we were doing a holistic Chamber of Commerce in Newport Beach, standing up and talking a little bit about myself and sharing and learning to meet new people and how to do that in a way that helps me grow. So yeah, it just dawned on me, April, that those little bits of nudging me along the way got me here. So, and I appreciate that.
And I relate to that so much, Elaine, because I mentioned, somebody brought up David Moore's name, and I told all of you that, it's his fault that I was even in district leadership in the first place. And it was the same nudging that got me there. And I think that a lot of us have that story, that same relatable story, that we are here because somebody else encouraged us along the way. Absolutely. Now, you might be wondering, how do these two concepts, our individual promise and district leadership, connect? Well, they connect because district leaders are the custodians of the Toastmasters promise. It's our job to protect, to uphold, and promote that promise. And we are responsible for ensuring that every Toastmasters member in our district has the opportunity to fulfill their potential. We're not responsible for making sure that they do the work. We're just making sure that they have the opportunity to fulfill their potential. We support, we encourage, and we lead by example, reminding our members of the promise that we all made. Our leadership is most powerful when we live that promise ourselves, when we show up with integrity, with respect, and a commitment to helping others. When we actively listen to our members' needs, when we recognize their achievements and we support their journey, we embody the very essence of the Toastmasters promise. And by nurturing that culture of commitment and excellence, district leaders empower members to embrace their growth journey. And when every member feels supported and encouraged, they will be more likely to keep their promise to their club and to themselves. And this is why it's vitally important that you fulfill all of the responsibilities of your role. So conduct your area visits on time and write your area reports, attend deck meetings, plan and support your area and division level contests. The responsibilities that you agree to as area director or division director are not merely a checklist. They are how the district reaches its goals. And I want to remind you that you are not just an area director. You are an area director, and you should wear that title with pride and honor the commitment to serve with excellence, right? Just like our club meeting is a learning lab for us to hone our communication skills, district leadership is that sandbox where we can experiment with our leadership style. So when I first stepped into district leadership, I didn't know anything about leading a team of people. But now that I've been through all the different roles, I understand the nuances of motivating people in a way that suits them. Because leadership isn't about me telling you what to do. It's about me guiding your growth into someone who can take a seat at the leadership table. Now, I will tell you this about district leadership. I am not a manager of people at my job. However, the people I work with in my company still look to me as a leader and a trusted partner because I carry myself as a leader. A few years ago, when I was district director here in Founders District, I discovered that I wasn't anxious to speak to any of the executives in my company, not at all. I approached them as people because I was at their level here in district leadership, right? I didn't hold a C-suite level title at work, but I certainly understood what it meant to report to a board of directors of an organization. And because of my Toastmasters leadership, I have the confidence to speak to any level of executive. You know, at the time when I was serving as district director, we had a region manager who was like, some people were intimidated by him. And I'd be like, what? Why? He's just a person just like we are. Like, you should have no problem coming in and talking to him, right? And despite the fact that he could be intense, he was actually very kind, and so there was no reason to be afraid. But sometimes that title can scare you. But what leadership lessons that you learn here in Toastmasters can teach you is that ultimately we are all just people, right? I can guarantee you that the president of any company still has a little bit of, doubt and worry about what they are doing and the decisions that they're making, just like we all do in district leadership. Do I have enough information to make the right decision? And so when you can look at yourself as having a seat at the leadership table, you will remove that anxiety and be able to speak to anybody. Toastmasters leadership provides so many benefits, right, that can significantly enhance your professional career. So when you embrace leadership opportunities and fulfill all of your responsibilities, you are embracing the opportunity to learn and grow in ways that you cannot imagine. So here are some ways that I thought of that Toastmasters leadership helps you. Of course, it improves your communication skills. As a leader, you have to speak at a lot more meetings, and they are typically in front of more than just your club members, right? They're in front of the deck, they're in front of the district council, maybe in front of your region. There's lots of places that you have to speak. So you have lots more opportunity to improve your communication skills. You also learn how to listen. Because I will tell you right now, if I am taking a call as region advisor from one of my district leaders and they're telling me about a problem that's bubbling in their district, it's not only the situation, right? It's the people that is causing the problem. And a lot of times in listening, we have to listen for the underlying current of the problem, right? It's not always just the situation. Sometimes the situation is easy. You're like, that's the easy part. The hard part is going to be this critical conversation that you have to have with this person. And that's why I'm here to help walk you through what that looks like. That effective listening is vitally important. And you don't learn that in table topics. You have to learn that doing district leadership. Of course, Toastmasters offers the opportunity for lots of networking opportunities. You connect with various members from different backgrounds, different industries, and that broadens your professional network and exposes you to a lot of different perspectives. Another thing is you develop your critical thinking and feedback skills. Yes, you do this in your club when you're listening to a speech and giving an evaluation. But when it comes to leadership, just like I'm talking about, there might be a situation bubbling up, and it's not the situation that's the problem, but it's a people problem. When you can develop your skills to give and receive feedback, that helps you have a growth mindset and it keeps you in that space for having continuous improvement. That is only going to help you in your career because you need to be able to take feedback from your boss if things are going sideways. You need to be able to deliver feedback to your boss if you think things are going sideways. And that can be intimidating, right? That's another place where me having served in these roles, when I have to give feedback to my boss, even 3 years ago, I would not have done that. But once I got through district director and I started contemplating being a region advisor, I started working on that skill of giving some feedback to my boss. And you know what? She takes it well because I, first of all, know the right time, but also she trusts me because I do demonstrate these leadership qualities all the time. The other thing that you will develop and hone when you are in district leadership is time management and organization because you have to balance your personal life, your job, your family, your responsibilities to your club, and then all of these extra responsibilities for district leadership. Sometimes it can feel like, wait, do I have 2 or 3 full-time jobs? What's happening? Right? And then other times you're like, oh gosh, this week I can breathe and I only have to worry about this other thing. But you definitely will develop those time management and organizational skills. And I would say, when I was district director, I was thinking, man, what was I complaining about when I was area director? I could do that in my sleep now, but when you're area director, you're going through it, trying to learn how to manage all of your club visits and have the time to do your visit reports and, planning all of those events that you have to plan. It's a lot of work. Another thing that we don't often talk about is cultural competence. District leadership can help you develop cultural competence because we are interacting with people from all over the world, especially, the higher up we go, you're interacting with members from different cultures, and that is going to promote cultural awareness and sensitivity, and that is vitally important in globalized workplaces. I remember when I was PQD, I don't know why I always look to the left, like the answer is up on the wall. It's right there. When I was PQD and I was at district leader training in Denver, we were in a group with some folks from India. And I asked one of them, can you please show me this thing with the business card? Because there's a really specific way that you present a business card and accept a business card from people in certain cultures, Asian and I believe Indian cultures. And he laughed at me and I said, no, I don't know how to do it. Like, will you please help me? And he said, I will. And so we had a little lesson where he, had his little business card and we practiced this back and forth. And was it like a funny moment in the yes, but I was serious because not only was I practicing this at convention at the Toastmasters and district leader training, at any time I could be having to do this at work, right? And so if you think about those little cultural competencies that you're learning, that will just make you a more open person and you won't fumble. You won't fumble that when it happens in real life. The other thing that leadership can help you do is give you some credibility, right, at work. Like, of course, I told you that people look to me as that trusted leader. So because I'm earning Toastmaster certifications, awards, serving in these roles, all that does is enhance my resume. And it signals my commitment to personal development and effective communication. A lot of employers don't necessarily understand the ins and outs of the Toastmasters program, but they do understand that Toastmasters is out there and they do value Toastmasters experience and they view it as a sign of initiative and commitment to improving your leadership and communication skills. Now, all of you are here because we each have the opportunity to contribute to this legacy within Toastmasters. We're talking a lot about legacy this week because it's the 100th anniversary of Toastmasters International. By keeping the Toastmasters promise, we create this foundation for personal growth. And by embracing district leadership, we build on that foundation and we're reaching and inspiring others. Each of us can choose to make a difference, to be a champion for growth, and to cultivate a community that values. I just lost my place in my little, here it is, that values mutual respect, values honesty, values empowerment. And in doing so, we leave behind that legacy that will continue to inspire generations of Toastmasters to come. So today I ask each of you, what legacy do you want to leave within your clubs, within your district, and this organization? How will you uphold the Toastmasters promise, not only in your words, but in your actions? And how will you lead with purpose, with resilience, and a commitment to the growth of others? In 2015, when I first stepped into district leadership to serve as an area director, I knew nothing about leadership. I talked about that earlier, that I didn't know anything about managing people. I certainly never imagined that I would serve as division director in the next year. I was voluntold to run as division director that next year. And upon completing that year, I said, I'm not doing that again. Never again. No more leadership. But guess what? A few short months later, I was asked to step in as public relations manager for the district, and I agreed, but as a favor. Doing this as a favor because I stepped in after the time frame where I could receive credit. So I thought, well, okay, I'm doing you a favor. But as that year went on, I seriously contemplated running for club growth director. And I had a taste of leadership and I saw that I could learn more. And I specifically remember discussing this with my husband at Cowboy Canyon Winery in Orange County on a beautiful late fall Sunday afternoon. And we had to talk about it because me running for club growth director, I knew wasn't going to affect just me. It was going to affect him. He was going to have to cook dinner a few nights a week, maybe, or maybe fend for himself. And so I knew at that time that I was going to voluntarily raise my hand and take the leap. Now, when you take a leap like that, what you think is the bottom isn't necessarily the bottom. So serving in those trio roles in district leadership, I initially thought I would be learning how to motivate a team, how to delegate, how to run a business meeting. And I did learn those things. I did. But I also learned how to have a united front with my fellow leaders, even when we didn't always get along. I learned how to be diplomatic in delivering critical feedback. And I learned how to stand up for what was right, even when it meant that people didn't like me. The leadership lessons shaped me into someone I never imagined. I never ever thought that I would progress beyond district leadership and serve as region advisor. You can grow into someone that you never imagined. And if you can dream it, you can achieve it. All it takes is for you to raise your hand. Now, what I'd like to do is reflect on one last question. Let me share my little screen here. How many of you are inspired by the Toastmasters promise to lead with a service mindset? And what does service mean to you in the context of district leadership? Your notes.
I just said yes. Yes, I am.
Oh, it's me. He said, it's me, it's me.
And in my perspective, when you belong to an organization where you must be part of the team, and there is a promise that it's central to all of the team members, I think it's inspiring on one side, and then it helps on the practical way to have value-driven leadership, not situational leadership, not contextual leadership, like all played by the ear, but you have some central ideal that you aim for and towards, and you believe and you trust that everybody does the same. And that is, kind of inspiring when hey, Elaine is doing the same. Like, this is the reason for which she employs all the skills and she takes in every action that she does, is because she's aiming to respect and fulfill the same thing that I am. And then I think that should take away a lot of the traditional mistrust and a lot of the potential question marks when it comes to your other team players.
Yes, and I don't know how many of you know past international director Greg Scott. Some of you might know him, some of you do know him. One of the things that Greg Scott talks about, and this goes along with what your notes is saying, is that we want to make sure all of our leaders on our team have a ticket on the train, right? But it can't just be any train. It needs to be the same train, right? We can't just get on a train. It needs to be the same train. And so that's really your notes. What you're talking about is like, let's make sure all of the district leaders understand the vision, that they have the ticket, and that they all know that we are going in the same direction. Because it's not enough to just show up at the station. It's not enough to have the ticket. You have to get on the train and make sure you're on the right train, leaving at the same time and arriving at the same place. And I love that analogy of like, okay, am I on the same train as you? Because if we're not, we need to get on the same train. We need to meet somewhere, make sure that we're going the same direction. In closing, I just want to say, let us remember that Toastmasters promise and our district leadership roles are not separate paths, but they are interconnected journeys. Together, they create a powerful force for positive change. And together, we are capable of transforming not only ourselves, but the lives of countless others. Thank you for your dedication, for your commitment, and for your leadership. And let's all continue to uphold our promise to inspire each other and to lead our districts toward a future of growth and responsibility. Madam District Director.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so very much for that, Christine. As we were going through that, I remember that I look at this as the Toastmaster promise is so ingrained in me that I see it everywhere. And I just make that the assumption in my head that this is where everyone else is going to be. That's the level playing field for me. And people that have come before me that demonstrated what you were talking about, not only the Toastmasters promise, but also those leadership qualities that inspired me to get here. And it's my hope that people will also learn from me and be inspired by me, because I truly believe that we can all become our best by this program. And it's so much more than just words. About attitudes, it's about belief, it's really about engaging the community and being able to grow in that way. And I keep going back to the whole thing about serving. What you're talking about today is so important and so integral to what we are doing to help us become the best version of ourselves, to help us to transform into people we actually like. So I really appreciate your thoughts today. And I love the idea of the way you say these are not two separate things. These are intertwined. They dovetail very well. So thank you for those comments today and your very inspirational message to us.
So happy to be here with Founders District this morning.
Thank you. All right, I will stop the recording and we'll have a few minutes for those that are in the room to ask you some questions if you're good for that. Christine, if you're good.
Yeah.